Good evening, everyone. It is 5:02 p.m. Today is June 17th, 2025. We are at the City of Cape Canaveral Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, regular meeting at the City Hall. This time I call the meeting to order. With that, Council or Board Member Davis, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Board Member Davis and the council for being here. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Board Member Davis.
Here.
Board Member Jackson.
Here.
Vice Chair Callum.
Here.
Chair Morrison.
Here.
And Board Member Willis.
Present.
All the board is present. Supporting staff, thank you for being here as well. At this time, we're on item number 4 to approve the agenda as written or with amendments.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Board Member Willis, a second by Board Member Davis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk.
Board Member Davis.
Here. Approve.
Board Member Jackson.
4.
Vice Mayor Callum.
4.
Chair Morrison.
4.
And Board Member Willis.
4.
All right, motion remains as written. Now we have a presentation on legislative updates and business support programs.
Yes. Hello. My name is Tamsin Bell. I'm the Community and Economic Development Director for the city. Nice to actually get to be a part of CRA today. And I just want to make sure I'm on it. Okay. So just a quick recap. Our CRA is just an area that we designate. Sorry. How do Oh, you got it? Okay, sorry. What's going on here? Okay. Just an area that we've designated to freeze the tax revenue and then collect that so we can use it to address blight in the areas. And we in the area within that boundary. We've used it so far to make improvements to the Cape Center and C5 and have been working on a master plan for the presidential streets. The legislation, there was a little bit of scrutiny for CRAs that came underway this year, but all bills that were challenging them were withdrawn. There was I think it just became a little bit of a Doge was at the height and people were concerned about using them for events and things like that. But cooler heads prevailed. Both sides of the aisle both realized that they like CRAs and all the things that they can accomplish with them. So the word in Tallahassee is that they'll be ready for next legislative session, but they're not concerned about CRAs getting repealed, clawed back, or not being able to create new ones. And so our CRA, oops, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny. There you go. So our CRA is set to sunset in September of 2040. So we have time to continue to grow revenue, increase the valuation, and then use the funding for projects around the city. And, So for what we plan on doing, we've just increased the budget to $75,000 for business and residential grants for facade improvements in the blighted areas. And we're working on streamlining our application process to consolidate that, make it more user-friendly and clear for the applications so we can increase the usage and encourage businesses and residents alike to access these funds and invest in our community. We also have a host of authorized uses from our 2012 plan that are still in effect. And so that's for beautification projects, resiliency, flood mitigation, public safety, and so on and so on. And so we've had we have a few projects that are in the hopper for this year that are continuing that have been approved but are continuing through 2027, I believe. So in our current projects, we have approved that the Canaveral City Park redevelopment, and I don't know why I'm nervous. Excuse me, guys. It just got to the tiny words. Sorry. And then the Presidential Streets Master Plan, which addresses flooding and is kind of a long-term project that we're beginning to work on addressing one street at a time. And continuing on with those, we have the fire rescue station, which should be lighting. It's a lighting protection system that should be wrapping up towards the end of 2025. And we have the concession stand with the Parks Recreation and also Nancy Hansen Recreation Center maintenance that are all included in part of our CRA funding for improvements that are on through the coming year. In addition, there's Oak Lane improvements, and then again, I was mentioning before the financial incentive grant program, trying to encourage access and use of those resources. We can see how some of those things, some other ways that we are using it, and some recent successes. We've had a fence restoration project where the community members are able to apply for grants. They have some skin in the game. They're funding it partially themselves, and then we match them that make the area look a little bit better. So that's Harrison Avenue. And then we have another recent project with the Canaveral Boulevard, the Canaveral Breakers condominiums. And so I have the little befores and afters in there for your view, so you can see.
That looks great.
Thank you.
That looks so good.
Yeah, it really
That
does.
before and after. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, please interrupt. I tried to keep it short and sweet so we could see. And then the last one is the commercial facade improvement we've done with Mangrove Marketplace. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is create a targeted business outreach in blighted areas along A1A and some other catalyst sites where we can explain to them how the program works and encourage application and use, as well as just get to know our business community and reach out and say thank you for operating here and that we invest in you if you invest in us, and create kind of a bridge from government to public so we can continue to grow and address blighted areas, and I keep saying blight, and improvements to the community.
That was excellent. I was thinking about some of the totals, and I think from there we can get a high level, add those up, and essentially see what the CRA has invested.
Yeah, and I think we have currently in our budget, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, about $3.5 million.
Well, let's go 2.5 million, but
So, yeah.
but it would be it's becoming available. So let's 2.5 million.
Okay.
2.5 million.
Yeah, so, and then we continue to grow it until I think 2039 is the last year we collect.
And the reason Tamsin said 3.5 million is that we're 2.5 million next year, and because we're not utilizing those funds for presidential streets this year, it could push it to about 3.5 million. So combined into 2 years, but
Yes,
Yeah,
correct. Thank
good.
you.
Tamsin, thank you so much
Yeah.
for presenting. Council, our board, do we have any questions?
I do, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
Vice Chair?
Hi, Thompson.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Very nice presentation. So these before and after shots of the projects that we've done, that's out of the 50,000 that we allocated last year?
Yeah.
And so we're adding to that for this year. So
Yeah, we're increasing that pool.
and we're reaching out to businesses with that 75,000 as well?
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, we are, as soon as we finish consolidating the application, currently they're all just labeled as Appendix A through D, and people have had trouble figuring out which one they're applying for. So we wanted to get the application process tightened up and streamlined, and then we'll roll that out, and we have a whole city walk planned.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It was a good job.
Oh, thank you. I guess shy a little.
Board Member Jackson.
I wanted to say Oak Lane looks lovely. I have driven up there since we've gotten it completed and very happy with the results. I also want to say Director Carlisle came in under budget on that.
Yay.
He worked with an existing pipe and saved us quite a bit of money. And so literally under budget, on time, and looks great. So thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yes, thank you, Tim. Great job. Talked about that project for a very long time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions for Tamsin at this time? Very nice presentation. Is that something, well, you might have emailed it or whenever you're ready that we can
Oh, yeah,
go back through and look at it again?
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else for us?
No, not at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. DeLeo, anything on that you want to add? Thank
No,
you.
sir. Good job, Tamsin. That's a lot of information, and she got her arms around it relatively quickly, and I think she hasn't been here that long, and that's some good stuff. Yeah. And before you, Tamsin, before you know it, you'll be dreaming about this stuff, and you'll never forget. So.
Yes. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. No. Later on.
It's enough this time. We are the public participation portion of the meeting. I don't have any public comment cards and don't see anyone, I think, who intends to speak here. So we'll go ahead and close public participation. Bring it to the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes, March 18th, 2024 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Board Member Willis and a second by Vice Chair Kellum. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk.
Board Member Davis,
4.
Board Member Jackson,
4.
Vice Chair Callum,
4.
Chair Morrison,
4.
and Board Member Willis.
4.
Consent agenda minutes past 5:00, which brings us to item number 8. It's a discussion item submitted by Board Member Willis. Discussion on the allocation of CRA funds to support veterans in Cape Canaveral. Board Member Willis, the floor is yours.
Well, as it states on the agenda item, but I'm requesting that we explore the feasibility of allocating a certain percentage specifically for our veterans. I know we've had a couple of projects that were taken on by the Sheriff's Department. There's other things that are needed we have a high population of veterans in the city. Now, I know we're focusing on businesses as well, but if there's any way that we can allocate a percentage or hold a percentage for veterans, preferably.
CRA or of the 75,000 grant funding?
The grant funding, of the grant funding.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We'd have to, if we were to change the eligibility requirements, we'd have to put that through the board. But the application, we can change.
Well, I'd like to get discussion on the board to see your feelings on it, but I think there's a certain percentage we should, in my opinion, we should allocate for veterans. And if we don't get enough veterans applying for it to fulfill that percentage, then it's open to whomever's on the list. But I think it
Just
would be
like a
good
priority?
to, yeah, make a certain percentage a priority for veterans, but I'm interested in what the board feels.
Yes, Vice Chair Kellum.
I think that's a great idea. The only thing I worry about, Don, is when we started this, before we had the allocation of 50,000 for, it was always brought up that you can't pick winners and losers, and you can't pick one group over another group. And that's the only thing that worries me. I'm all about setting aside money for veterans. I just worry about, as far as maybe Anthony could answer that, about picking a specific group. You know, I don't want to get in trouble with the.
Well, I don't think it's any different than giving preference to veteran-owned businesses. You know, I mean, when you're awarding contracts, sometimes you have a checklist, and if you're a veteran-owned business, you get an extra attaboy, and you get to the top of the list, just as a disabled or woman-owned business. I mean, we have one of those in the city who's been awarded many, many contracts from the federal government because it's a woman-owned, minority, disabled veteran owner.
Yeah. Anthony, are we allowed to include any type of?
Well, just for clarification, when you talk about veterans, I mean, are you talking about maybe establishing a preference for an potential application on one of our brick and mortar grant programs?
Well,
because social programs are very fraught with problems under the CRA Act. I would question whether social programs would constitute a bona fide redevelopment activity under the Act. But if you're talking about one of our existing grant programs and maybe considering putting in a veteran preference, then, you know, that's something that we can maybe explore and then come back to the board with. But preferences tend to be applied and implemented when people are beating down the doors for a finite amount of money. So, I mean, if we can't expend all of the money we allocate in the first place, a preference isn't going to mean anything. All the veteran has to do is apply just like anybody else, and the money will be potentially available, right?
Well, I can see under the current management of our CRA that it's going to be advertised a lot more. I think it's going to be promoted more because we have vitality in the department now. So I think you're going to see more applicants, is my opinion. I just want to be sure that we can assist veterans wherever we can. And if it's to Vice Chair Kellum's point, if it is picking winners and losers, okay, all right, I understand. But I think it's worth the effort to see if we can do it.
Yeah, if you want to look at, we can certainly look at putting together maybe a preference. I mean, that would be, you know, an allocation of funding and a change to the criteria. And as our community development director is indicating, you know, changing criteria for the program has to come back to the board for approval.
Right.
So, I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking the board if that's something they are amenable to agreeing to, so.
I'm happy to go if you want to go. Councilmember Jackson.
I'm
Or
always
board
in favor of assisting our veterans in any way that we can. So, City Attorney, I'm definitely interested in the legalities of it to make sure that it is something we can do. If the funds aren't used, then of course we can release some for other businesses in the area. But with us being here nestled in between 4 bases, it would be really nice for us to give that support to the veteran community. I just want to make sure that it's legal.
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Previous grant programs that I've done out in Washington, we've just put at the bottom, you know, preference will be given to BIPOC, women-owned, veteran-owned, disabled, and in our case, in our area, rural communities. So I don't know if we could put just like a blanket thing in the application, but we do have to post the eligibility criteria with the application. So I just want to confirm for my next direction, would we be presenting the new application then to the board? No. Okay.
No, it's the criteria. If the board wants to establish a
Yeah.
preference, that has to come back to the board.
Right, but the criteria has to be included in the application. That's what I just want to make sure before
Right, well,
before we go out and
Yeah, until
tell
I mean,
everybody something.
you have an existing application that you use, right, for any, anyone who wants to apply today,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you need that application, so if the criteria changes, the application would change after that. I mean, certainly in the meantime, the city administration can encourage veterans to apply.
Yeah.
Can't provide a legal preference, but can certainly encourage veterans, make a special effort to encourage them to apply. But a preference policy has to be by criteria.
And I believe that Florida has a list of veteran-owned businesses. Yeah, okay. I'll double check that, but I think that we can also just make sure that when we do put out the information that we'll specifically outreach as well. Yeah.
Board Member Davis?
Yeah, I think it's a good, I had tubes down my throat, so I can't talk, but I think it's a great, and I want, what you can come up with would be great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Board Member Davis. Heard you loud and clear. It sounds like everyone here really supports, obviously, veterans. I think when I go through those programs, and if we analyze, I guess the first question I have is, to our city attorney's point, in that, it was the first year 50,000 that we did the grant program a few years back. Do we know if all that money was used?
It has not been.
And I'm sorry if we, okay. And I think that's valid, is making them aware, but when we take a step back and look at the CRA, you said blight earlier, blighted properties, which I agree. I think that is what the state statute says. And so the intent of the CRA is to improve blight. It doesn't say blight for veterans. It doesn't say blight for, any minority group out there. It's just blight. But I would be interested to know if we could find out wherever that money flowed into private property, if any of them were veterans. And if so, let's see where we are before we arbitrarily just pick a percentage or a number. And we might find that in terms of quantity or measuring in dollars, be interesting to see what the percentage is. And when I think about dollars, I think about Veterans Park, which total probably close to $500,000. So we think about as a percentage of CRA, we did that to honor our vets. And then there's other programs like Melbourne does banners and stuff. But when we get into that, those social promotional things, I get a little nervous. And if it is about blight in improving those areas, the CRA district, wherever that property is within the boundaries, however we can, it would be good to identify some ranking or severity of the blight, because it's not all areas. And the things that I think about when I think about blight in the CRA is Port Canaveral Trailer Park or Fillmore Lincoln Avenue, where we have veterans in wheelchairs on that corner due to flooding. And so Presidential Streets, that's going to help that veteran on that corner. But it's not, it's because, or like the FPL power lines going through Port Canaveral Trailer Park, that's going over veterans' homes in there. I'm aware of that. And I think when we look at what we've spent, add in Veterans Park, add in, VFW, let's see what we've done already. And yeah, I'm with the whole board to say I support, if it passes some of the legal tests, to figure out what we can do and help. So thank you, Board Member Willis.
No, I appreciate the board willingness to discuss it, and let's see where it goes. And I appreciate everyone bringing up their viewpoints, and I think it would be a good thing to see what we can do. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Tamsin.
So Mayor Morrison, is it possible, I know we have our boundary for the CRA, and we have one resident that BCSO and a lot of people helped this past month, helped clean the property up, got it painted, and that kind of thing for one of our veterans. So is there any way, as we're looking at that blight, to be able to look at those, because if they're in the CRA, I want to make sure I understand, if they're in the CRA and their property is blighted, it doesn't matter that if it's business or residential, is that correct? Okay.
All private property is eligible within the CRA boundary, I think is your question. whether
Yes.
it's
Well, in
commercial
terms of the grant program for facade or paint, I don't have the policy in front of me, whether it also applies to, does it apply to residential? Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you,
one of my
Tamsin.
other CRAs absolutely does not expend funds for residential facade improvements. It's dedicated to commercial. Not to say that you can't have both.
But
Can't remember whether Cape Canaveral was
We
residential
started with a
and
business
I
sign
think it was-
brand permit. We did just commercial, and then we brought in
opened it to
the
residential.
residential.
Okay.
But if we have properties that are veterans within those boundaries, whether they're residential or not, and they need cleanup and they need assistance on the outside looking better, that is the definition of blight. So boy, I would be interested in helping those individuals. Some of those individuals may not have family or friends to help them. And so that becomes a point for Councilmember Willis's, program for this that I think would be helpful.
I have a question. Can we proactively assist from those funds? Or do we would need to wait for them to apply? We can't disseminate them, directly to them.
I think,
We can't come up with the project for them. They've got to want it.
I don't
That's not
think
how the
so.
program's designed.
Yeah, no.
We can encourage them based on their circumstances.
I
Yeah,
think-
we could encourage, it is for exteriors, and renovations, signs, and I think even loosely landscaping is included in that, but I'd have to check a little further. But to your point, I mean, would it be something that the board is amenable to in revising the application and the eligibility, that we just add like a 5-point weighted scale for underserved community members? And no? Okay. No.
I don't know what you mean by underserved, and I
just-
can just tell you that
Yeah,
the recent trend in case law
yeah,
regarding establishing preferences that may
Yeah.
violate section 1981 of federal code is in play.
got it. Okay.
I don't think that applies in the case of veterans. That's why I haven't brought it up until you said underserved.
Mm.
We have to be concerned about racial preferences
Yeah,
and things like that. Even, women-owned businesses, there's questions about that now
yeah.
because of recent case law.
We will continue to adjust the application and promote it. And then should we just determine that demand is needed, then we can revisit the eligibility. Is that, I just confirm that's the
Well,
direction.
I think, I don't want to speak for the chair, but I
No, well,
think,
your intent, I think, is
yeah.
what she's
just-
clarifying.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Kellum.
Yes, I just wanted to say that when we originally had brought this up and got it funded, we also wanted to use it as a code enforcement tool for, if they have, people's houses that are blighted or they're lawns are bad or whatever, and they need help, that there's a tool that we have as a city.
Yeah.
That, you know, if you need help, here's the application, or here's how you do it. And that's where I think that we were coming from, because, you know, every little bit, when people improve their house, it improves the city as well. But I think that veterans, absolutely, if we can do that and we're in the legal bounds of the criteria, we should definitely do that, so.
But I think you're there's a code enforcement case where a property's not being brought back into compliance. And when we learn about their circumstance, there's some compassion of some sort. And at that point, they could come back the way the program was designed, and the tool is to apply.
Exactly.
And then we know that circumstance. We know the intent of the board was to help those people who are in most need, and use that small city knowledge, internal partnering with the community and allocating $50,000 or $75,000 to help those. There's a big difference in somebody who can't improve, the siding or some major structure on their home due to an unfortunate circumstance, and someone wanting to, that could have the means, but they're just going to take advantage of an opportunity of the program and get new pavers or something, that maybe qualifies, or new landscaping. But that's the tough part of all of it in city staff. I'm very sensitive to that discretion and that going in. So as the clear criteria does, correct me if I'm wrong, make your job a little easier.
Yeah, so we do like to have that in the application, so then they can see why we are evaluating things the way we are without question or hurt feelings.
Right.
Yes, so, but we'll get that, we'll
Anything else?
revisit.
No, I just think that it's that's what the CRA is for, a big portion of it.
Yeah.
Businesses are important, our residents are important, so
Yeah,
we're lucky to have it, and we need to take advantage of it while it's here.
yeah, we'll make it known that it's here so people can start using it, and we can get our hands in the.
And the good news, Mayor, the good news is we've never come close to even using the maximum. This is one budget that, always has money left in it. So there's an opportunity for people out there, but we've never come close to even using the 50K. So, and now we're up to 75K. So there's opportunities for people to do things.
Well, to Don's point, I think it will be more advertised than it has been.
That should
and
help.
pushed out into the community, which will help
Yeah,
to spend that money.
yeah.
Well, the fact that it will exist, but not in the sense like we were talking, not a come one, come all type of thing.
No.
But the sense that it exists and people know.
Yeah.
Because there's some good funds there that could do a lot of good, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on this agenda item? Excellent. Thank you. And with that, I think we are now to item 9, old business. We have none. There's no new business. Do we not have reports typically on CRA? I don't think we do, actually, yeah. Because in my head, I wanted to just ask a question, but if it's not anything I want to take action on, but.
Not typically do we have reports, but
Yeah,
if
that's
something
okay.
unique came up, of course.
Nope, let's go ahead. If council's okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Good? With that? All right, meeting adjourned, 5:36. Board, not council.